Start with a short prayer. Vande Gurum to all. So, it's a very short video about our activities.
Center for Educational Initiatives and Research, CEIR Global Trust, has established a common platform for educators, students, principals, parents, and management so as to improve the overall school culture in India and abroad. Since its inception from 2009, CEIR has conducted many and extraordinary programs for the target groups right from K1 to K12. All CEIR programs are powered by Veda Handwriting Lab. Veda offers multiple programs for students and teachers. These programs are backed by scientific research. At Veda Handwriting Lab, we say good or bad handwriting is an existing myth. There is only trained or untrained handwriting. To make it possible, Veda Handwriting Lab has developed a training device called Manicure Memory Board for faster and long-lasting results among students and teachers. Handwriting Elite Kit and Life Kit are the flagship programs for Veda Handwriting Lab, accessible through our website www.vedahandwritingkit.com. Now also available on Amazon. We believe that we will be a force to reckon with the near future. We believe that the best is yet to be. The ultimate aim of the CEIR is to create a CEIR Center of Excellence by 2030, a perfect away from home to hone its members. Vande Guru.
Creating a unique and uniform handwriting in an education institution is one of the biggest challenges that any school would usually come across. As a school, as a principal, we have been trying to encourage our children to develop a uniform style of handwriting. We often used to come across various challenges in this process, and that's where we came from about the Veda Handwriting Lab and happened to meet Mr. Sweetson and had a detailed interaction about the scientific aspects of this program and also the way in which this handwriting program was being implemented in various schools. Also having interacted with a number of principals in whose schools this program was successfully implemented. Since June 2019, Exam Public School has been following this handwriting program for primary classes. I'm really happy and proud to say that there has been a considerable improvement in the way in which our children started developing and fine handwriting. The teachers also found the new style and new approach towards the development of handwriting and more practical and an easy one to follow. I'm also getting regular feedback from parents expressing their happiness on the fact that now children are developing a more knowledgeable and more fluent and a faster way of writing. So I'm very happy with this program, and I wish to extend this program to the higher classes for the next academic year. And I wish all the best to the Veda Handwriting Lab and Mr. Sreesan for this program. I'm sure many more schools would benefit from this program if it is effectively implemented in the institutions.
So let us start our program. I proudly invite the moderator. This is a series. She will explain more about this. She is a mentor, CAR, Dr. Dipali Misra. Ma'am, please moderate. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sreesan. Good evening to all present here this afternoon. This is the first of the series on Nipun, Bharat. And today we have two speakers who will be speaking to us on this session. Why did we feel the need to go through with this session? If we wish to build a great India, we need to work with early years. And only if children have a very strong foundation of reading and with understanding and numeracy can we build a great country. Unfortunately, the latest National Achievement Survey concluded that a very large percentage of children cannot read age-appropriate text by the time they reach grade 5. This confirms that schooling isn't equal to learning. To address this concern, the architects of the National Education Policy 2020 created a long-term vision document that begins with emphasizing the concept of foundational literacy and numeracy. This is to be achieved through the Nipun Bharat mission. And the vision of Nipun Bharat mission is to create an enabling environment to ensure that every child acquires foundational literacy and numeracy and the desired learning competencies in reading, writing, and numeracy by the end of grade 3, that is by 2026-27. In essence, the literacy part of FLN, as it is called, talks about oral development, decoding sounds, reading fluency, and writing. The numeracy emphasizes number clarity, shapes and space, measurement, and data handling. To take us deep into this session, we have two very eminent and experienced speakers, Mrs. Geeta Raj, who is the principal, Hikani Vidya Mandiram, Coimbatore, and Dr. Meenakshi Narula, principal, Shemford Futuristic K-12 School, Oraya. Both have very varied experience, and I think both of you have more than 20 years of experience, if I am correct. Welcome to both of you, Geeta ma'am and Meenakshi ma'am. We will begin this session with ma'am Geeta Raj, who will focus upon understanding the FLN goals and learning outcomes. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am, Geeta ma'am.
Thank you, Dipali ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the series of Decoding the Nipun Bharat. Being the first session, it's my privilege to address all of you, and I hope it would be a fruitful session. Learning to read involves tracking the brain to perceive groups of letters as coherent words. I'm just sharing the screen.
Visible, ma'am.
Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. In line with the NDP recommends, the mission will help children to read with comprehension, help children understand numbers, measurements, and shapes by using the playway and activity-based pedagogy. It helps children teach in the children's home languages to provide high quality teaching learning material to engage children, to build capacities of teachers, academic resource persons, education ministers, track children's learning levels consistently, conduct meaningful assessments using polls. This is the long term goal of the government in implementing the foundational literacy and numeracy. We all know that can I ask, like, which age group are we talking when we say about the foundational literacy and numeracy? The age group of students from age 3 to 9. So when a child enters a school, the child comes from various home backgrounds. The language spoken at home is entirely different to what the child comes and learns in the school. So when it comes to learning to read, it's the brain has to practice the groups of letters as coherent words in order to understand it, the meaning of it. So once they enter, they should be very familiar with the aksharas or the letters. And to understand a sentence, the mind must read it fast enough. That is, the children must read at least 45 to 60 words per minute to understand a passage. The Yashpal Committee report in 1993 highlighted meaningless and joyless nature of school-based education. This is an undesirable plight in the education system. Everybody can read. Even in my own experience, I've seen children can read, but deciphering the meaning, understanding what they have read is really a question. The NCF in 2005 pointed children have a sense of fear and failure regarding mathematics. It is true. Even today, I see children at grade 10 and 11 who have fear for mathematics. But why is that? Why is the education setting in a fear? So we need to really understand and remove that and see that everybody gains a foundational literacy and numeracy skills so that they can later on be as happy individuals. The universal objectives of the FLNS making learners competent in doing meaningful reading and writing by the time they enter grade 3. Developing the basic understanding and competencies related to numeracy and its related concepts among young learners till grade 2. Also, developing skills among the learners to amalgamate their outside school experiences in their classroom learning to attain foundational literacy and numeracy in a better way. What goes into acquiring the literary skills? Here, as teachers, we all should remember when a child enters a school, they come from various backgrounds. Maybe at families, they have people who can support to speak or communicate the language in which they are going to learn. Such children have a better edge towards a learning, but all are not the same. In a class, when we are going to teach, we have children who come from a family background who is not familiar with what the school language is. It is totally new to him, and we as teachers are going to deliver in the same way to all. So I think this is where that learning gaps begins right from the foundational stages. I have a typical example of a student who has joined the kindergarten, and the child is, you cannot say there is any disability, either the learning disability or the physical disability, but she's hale and healthy and she's actively participates, but she cannot communicate and she does not understand what is being taught. It took us some time to know and understand that she comes from the background of Punjabi speaking she's a child who speaks Punjabi, and she's very comfortable in that language. And when she comes to school, and when we totally the language in which she's taught and learned is different, the child is at a loss. But fortunately, we could find out that, and we had to call the parent, and the intervention was right, immediately given support to the parent. And then we found that when it was explained to her in her own language, mastering what was done was just as easy and comfortable for her. I think that is the reference here we need to take. When the children come from home, the pre-existing knowledge of the language helps the children gain literacy skills. And that is why the introduction of teaching in the mother tongue, and all the children who are in a group, they are heterogeneous and they come from the multiple linguistic families. So the oral language development is very important, where children should understand the phonological awareness and the important when learning to read and write. They should understand the decoding, where they are aware of the print, they are introduced to the print media, and they should become aware of the print. They should know the letters, they should know the word recognition. And then comes the reading fluency with comprehension. They will be able to read accurately the reading text with meaning and understand and express themselves. And writing of the alphabet and the words comes along. Earlier, we felt that the children start reading first and then the writing comes later. But it is proven that the reading and the writing comes simultaneously to the child. Early literacy and numeracy skills are not only foundation for learning, but are also correlated with greater quality of life and personal well-being, and are critical for educational outcomes in later years. Literacy is no longer perceived as simple cognitive skills, but as a complex and active process with cognitive, social, linguistic, and psychological aspects. Our highest priority must be to achieve the FLN by the end of grade 3 in 26-27. So what is the pedagogy that we should use when we are going to teach the children or help them learn a new language? And through the language, they are going to learn the concepts and gain the foundational, the basic strong foundation of their literacy. So the pedagogy should include playway and experiential activities. The mathematical thinking should have numeracy, the number sense, spatial understanding, and it should be there should be a system of formative assessment, because very frequently after they learn, we need to have an assessment to understand how far the learning is. Reading with comprehension, writing with understanding, and speaking with coherent thoughts. When I say reading, it's reading for joy. Reading is comprehension. Listening and speaking with comprehension. When they read, when they understand, they're able to share their experiences with they're able to share their experiences with their peers and the teachers, and write, and they start writing their experiences. So when they write, writing is for various purposes. They enjoy writing. Even when the children start scribbling in the initial years, that is also a form of writing. When you say, like, I have gone through so many children who are really, they write the numbers from 1 to 10, from 1 to 100, even up to 500. But in my experience, I've seen when you ask them what is the value of a particular number, say 7, they are unable to visualize what that number quantifies. So when we say and when we speak that foundation numeracy means, they should be able to reason the simple numerical concepts in daily life and solve problems. The pre-number concepts, they should be introduced to. The numbers and the operations on numbers, the basic mathematical operation of addition, subtraction, they should be familiar and comfortable. and they should understand that. And they should have an awareness of the shapes and the spatial understanding, where they're able to perform computations in up to 3-digit numbers and apply them in their daily life activities. And they should also perform the subtraction, multiplication, division up to the digits of number 3. When we say foundational numeracy, when I say it is, they should become competent in counting. They should have the sense of numbers developed. They should understand what is numberness, and they should start the mathematical thinking, and application of basic operations should be there. For example, when I say number 7 is introduced, they should know that 6 comes before 7, number 8 comes after 7, and how to quantify number 7 in pictorial representations. This is also a language of expression where literacy is required. So the pre-number concepts, the spatial understanding of size and shapes, they should visualize, they should get the number sense. So when children acquire these skills of understanding the quantity, they develop the concepts like more and less, larger and smaller, grouping and sorting, usage of the symbols. They start comparing the numbers. They should learn to arrange the numbers in general, and the sequencing of numbers. They should, which will help them in solving their daily life problems, and they should use the fundamental operations to apply logic in their daily life to take decisions with reasoning. So I think when this comes, we should always have the ELPS approach. E is for experience. So the children should experience with physical objects, which helps in learning. And once they experience with the objects, whatever the learning is, they need the language that will describe the experience. And with the experience they're able to describe, they can also do the diagrammatic representations in the pictures to associate with the experience, which helps in concrete understanding of what is being learned. They should also be able to write it in symbol that generalize their experience. So we should always remember the 4 words: experience, the language, the pictures, and the symbolic representation of what has been learned. So when we come to the integration of literacy and numeracy, the mathematical terminology as a part of it should be a part of a daily language. The usage of language in understanding the mathematical ideas, language for disposition of mathematical thinking, and to communicate, you need the language. And the communication should be in the precise way where you have the language for mathematical ideas. I often tell my teachers that when you are in a mathematics class, or when you're doing a session, helping children, facilitating their learning, I say, speak the language of mathematics. So everywhere when the mathematical language or the symbols and signs are spoken, the acquisition of the skills and understanding is better. What is competency-based education? Competency-based learning is focused on students' learning outcomes, and it is characterized by the children advance to the next level only upon mastering the current level. So if the child is in the pre-KG or the LKG and the lower kindergarten, therein they should understand the fundamentals of the numbers, able to count the numbers, recognize the shapes, and they should know the letters of the alphabet. They should be able to do the sight words, read the words, and only if they accomplish that and they qualify, then they move on to the next level. So the children's learning outcomes are measured against defined standards for competency acquisition by children. Usage of formative assessments, skills or concepts are assessed in multiple contexts to ensure that both deep understanding and applications are understood by the child. So we have mainly the 3 developmental goals for the integrated and the holistic development of children in the foundational age. Goal 1, the children maintain good health and well-being. Only when they have the good health and well-being, they are in a prepared state of mind to receive what's being taught. Goal 2, children become effective communicators. And then the goal 3 is children become involved learners and they are able to connect with their immediate environment. So actually understanding the linkage between the developmental goal, the competency and the learning outcomes, the developmental goals
Some network issues there. Ma'am? I think,
I think she's suddenly gone off the
yes.
connection.
Deepali ma'am, for the time being, I think there's certainly network issue. I think you can bring Meenakshi ma'am in between, then we will manage it. I think she's
Oh, there she's back again. Geeta ma'am is back.
back.
Geeta
Can
ma'am?
you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, I
Okay.
had some
Network
No
problem.
problem, ma'am.
fine. Okay.
Ma'am,
So
you
the
could talk.
developmental goal domains are physical and motor development, socio-emotional literacy, numeracy, and cognitive development, spiritual and moral development, art and aesthetic development, which are interrelated and interdependent. All these major domains and the goals are only linked with the goal 1, 2, and 3. And when we speak about the competencies, we need to know, like, after giving a task or the child experiences the learning, we need to have specific statements which will tell whether the children will be able to know, will they be able to do, or will they be able to demonstrate after the learning. So if they are able to do and if they're able to demonstrate what has been learned, then we understand the learning has happened there. And thereby we meet the learning outcomes. So the preschool curriculum has addressed the following interrelated domains of holistic development through an integrated and play-based approach. It should have the sensory and perceptual development. That is, children learn through the usage of their 5 senses. It is through these senses that they receive the message, and what message they receive through the senses is permanently etched and the learning happens there. Then we have the physical health and the motor development. We should have the language development. The experience of teachers have shown that reading, writing, and listening, viewing, and thinking develop simultaneously as learners become literates. Again, I say, because I think it is a wrong notion that even in our school, in many schools, I've seen that we feel they listen, then they start speaking, then they read, and then they write. But the experiences of teachers have told that the reading, writing, listening, viewing, and thinking develops simultaneously and makes a learner literate. Then we have the cognitive development, where the various concepts like the pre-number concept, and the knowledge related to the comparison, classifications, conservation of space and quantity, one-to-one correspondence counting, patterns, sequential thinking, observing, reasoning, and problem solving. We need to give them a lot of activities where everywhere the child is questioned at to reason, why is it so? The why and what is very important to be frequently used while interacting with the children. Then we have the preschool curriculum should have the development of creative and aesthetic appreciation, and exploring different kinds of art forms. Then we have the personal, social, and the emotional development, wherein the development of the self-concept, self-confidence, self-control, life skills, self-help skills, habit formation, getting into the routines of learning and their regular routines, the curiosity, expressing feelings and accepting others' feelings. But there is a new shift in the perspective in the early years of literacy. Both free drawing and independent writing are also forms of expression related to literacy. The developmental goals have been further divided into 6 levels. Now, I would like to say that earlier the education system was focusing only from age 6 onwards. With a new NEP in place, we have incorporated the development and the learning from age 3 onwards. So we have level 1, which is a preschool at the age of 3, on completion of age of 3. And we have level 2, which is a preschool, the lower kindergarten and the upper kindergarten. Once they complete that, they have the level 3, which is a 3 months Bala Vatika, which is called, where again 3 months of learning, checking or assessing the fundamentals of literacy and numeracy is the child is again going through all that to be prepared to go to the next level at level 4, which is at class 1. And then the level 5 goes to class 2. The connection between 1 to 1 is they are interlinked, and the child or every learner should accomplish all the learning skills, acquire the fundamentals at that particular level, master it, and then move on to the next level. As I told you initially, the first case, we have children coming from the different language background where they are unable to get connected to the class and they are unable to follow, and where the education system and the methodology, the pedagogy we use is the same to all. So we, as teachers, we need to keep in mind how to meet out the heterogeneous group of children who come from different background, and they have got different learning styles, and how are we to map to ensuring that every child has that learning. The national mission will declare the overall national target in achieving learning outcomes. At the end of grade 3, that is in 2026, by 27, the child should be able to recognize letters and corresponding sounds, read simple words comprising of at least 2 to 3 alphabets. They should be able to recognize and read numerals up to 10, arrange numbers, objects, shapes, and of events in a sequence. They should be able to read small sentences consisting of 4 to 5 simple words in an age-appropriate unknown text. They should be able to read and write numbers up to 99, perform simple addition and subtraction. They should be able to read, as I said, meaning with 45 to 60 words per minute, so that they're able to understand and decipher the meaning of the passage given, and they should be able to read and write numbers up to 999 and subtract numbers up to 99 at grade 2. So these are what is to be accomplished by a child at grade 1 and 2. And as teachers, we always feel happy as most of our children do achieve all this. But there are, in every class, I would say, there are around 5 to 6, at least 2% of the students in a class do not even go through all this as expected. So in order to enhance this learning, what pedagogy can the teacher do? They can create a print-rich environment, like labeling the objects or places, writing children's name, displaying children's writing work, emergent writing samples, creating word walls, reading corners, poem corners, message boards, theme boards within the classroom where the child is everywhere around the child, you have the print media. And the teacher can read aloud. You may help them in listening to stories. They can tell the stories, narrate the stories in their own way, and they can start writing stories in pictorial representation of stories is also a kind of expression. They can share their experiences. They can do drama or role play. They can do picture reading, and the teacher can help either the uh, peer reading, or the teacher can be with the child to read. And this is what I told earlier, like that Balvatika, or the ensuring the school readiness for class 1 children. After they finish the kindergarten, we have a 3-month play-based school preparation module. So all class 1 children should get this readiness, and they should be prepared to be at standard. To all the children will be at par to learn equally at grade 1. So there is a 12 weeks of study to bolster the child's pre-literacy, pre-numeracy, and the cognitive and social skills. Activities and worksheets around the learning of alphabet. It is here where the teachers play a great role. Any kind of material is a tool to learn. Even I always have a feeling, it is personally, in my opinion, I feel children do not need books to learn. Any material or object around the child, you can initiate a discussion, can start a conversation with them, and thereby develop, and then go to explain what it is. So how can the school preparation module, what should the school be prepared for the preparatory or the Balvatika module? It is a 3-month play-based learning for all grade 1. And activities and workbooks should be with the sounds, words, alphabet, colors, shapes, and numbers, involving collaboration with peers and parents. And all these materials are to be developed by the NCRT and the SCRT. I think before I have something more to say. So the major aspects and the components of teaching learning process when it comes as teachers, we need to see that the content that we are going to deliver and teach, the fundamentals and the basics, should be age appropriate, suitable to the child, and facilitate the learning. They should experience with objects, with play material.
I think
The learning, which will be very concrete, and you should have a learning environment built around the classroom. You need to have a great learning environment, which like different, when a teacher enters a class, I always say there should be a sense of curiosity. There should be something in the hand when you enter the class. So that sparkles the interest, and all come in alignment with what you're going to deliver for the particular day. So, and the major and the priority most is that prior planning of what to be done in the class. You need to chalk down what is your plan for the day, what is your schedule for the day, what is that the children are going to learn during that period of 45 minutes, what you're going to spend with them. And then you need to adopt the methodology, how you're going to deliver. Is it going to be a story session? Is it going to be introduction to letters? Or is it going to be like engaging them in a role play? So all this prior planning helps a teacher to reach to the child effectively and help them. And they are with you. You handhold them and take them along with you without any inhibitions, without any fear towards what is being taught. So I think what the NCF found, that the fear for mathematics will be removed with the NEP 2020 infos, and ensuring that every child across the country universally at that particular age would have mastered these foundational skills, the life skills and the values, to be prepared to go to the next phase in the learning. And that helps them in the well-being of the child, improving and enhancing the self-confidence of the child, the child is capable of, he can understand, he's very confidently, he can communicate, interact with the people around and with the environment, and thereby later it helps him in the career that he's going to choose. Even in the future studies that he's going to keep, this foundation is what is going to make him happy at the later years. I think with this, I finish. Deepali ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much for your session. You very rightly say that the child is coming into the school from home and from a comfortable to the uncomfortable, and the child is insecure. So you are what you have taken us through is to understand how the teacher can make the child comfortable by use of language development, by use of the home language in a secure environment, make the child feel secure. And the teacher therefore needs to, understand what the child knows and move from there to what the child should learn. From here, we will now move to our next session, which will be taken by Meenakshi Narula ma'am, the principal of Shamford Futuristic School. She will be talking about, once the child has developed the competencies, she will be talking about how the child's competencies are to be assessed or understood. Over to you, Meenakshi ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful opportunity. First of all, I'm grateful to CEIR for this wonderful initiative on decoding this Nipun. And Geeta ma'am has already talked about the what, why of this Nipun. And I'll be taking it forward and we'll be talking about how teachers can play an important role in achieving this foundational literacy and numeracy. When we talk about bringing up the children, raising the children, we always say it takes a village to raise a child. It's not me, it's not you, it's not a single person who can help achieve this goal. This is the combined teamwork where it comes the role of a teacher, where comes the role of the community, the parents, all the stakeholders, whoever is involved therein. So we have to identify our roles, our responsibilities for that. So may I request you to please let me share my screen. I suppose my screen is visible now. Yes. So here I'm going to talk about, ma'am has already talked about like how to talk about this Nipun and all. And here, let us talk about ensuring school readiness for class 1, class 2 children, so that they should be able to talk about the foundational basic things. Then only they'll be able to read the complex tasks. And for that, I would certainly stress on assessment for learning. In schools, we always talk about assessment of learning. And during this pandemic, we all have learned a lot about assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and nowadays we're talking about assessment as learning. So there are a number of strategies to assess the level of the students. Here for the younger ones, assessment for learning, this is really very, very important. When we get to know the level of the child's understanding, as well as teachers, what we have to do to bring up to that kind of level when we are talking about SDG for quality education that we have to achieve by our target is 2030. So here assessments, we all know, they help in understanding the learning levels of the children and if any corrective measure is required. They can be categorized as school level assessment and maybe the large scale standardized assessment. First of all, when I'm talking about school level assessments, let me bring it to the level of a class level assessment. Let me bring it to the level of when there is proper interaction between a teacher and a student. We should get to know, we should adopt and adapt to various visible thinking routines, where we'll get to know what is the level of child's understanding. And first and foremost thing for that is we have to encourage our children to speak, to talk more, talking to the peer group, talking to the teachers, talking in our morning assemblies, only then that stage fear, their fear of talking, that will go out. So this is really, really very, very important, because most of the time what happens in our traditional classrooms, it is the teacher who speaks all of the time. And children, they're the passive listeners. Most of the time in our classrooms, monotonous work happens. Either we find little children copying from the board whatever the teacher has written. Maybe the teacher is talking about sight words. Maybe the teacher is starting with the 2-letter words, 3-letter words, whatever. So most of the time it is seen like there is lack of student-teacher engagement. So students, they become the passive listeners. We need to foster that kind of interaction in our students. Like they should come up, they should come forward and become the active participants instead of being the passive listeners. Just for example, when the children, they start learning about alphabet, they are recognizing the different letters of the alphabet. They should know, they should be knowing about like small letters, capital letters, when and where to be used. Let us teach them the way in which we find the words in the dictionary. So we have to start teaching our students right from the basic stage, that is from the foundational level, same way. In the same way where they will be talking, they will be learning in their higher grades. So this should be our strategy of teaching in our school level. Various assessment for learning strategies to be adapted and adopted, where it can be peer teaching, it can be group reading, that kind of things can be done. It can be concept mapping right from very early age. Let the children then recognize whatever the objects are at home. When we are talking about the children at the lowest level, grade 1, KG, kindergarten level and all, they should be able to identify the objects at their home and their circle. They should be able to, excuse me, pardon. Is there somebody who is asking something?
No,
I think
it's okay.
There's some disturbance.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Please carry on. Please carry on.
So they should be able to identify the different objects, would be able to not only in their mother language. When we are talking about reading, when we are, we always talk about like there should be multilingualism at the till grade 5. We can bring it to grade 8 level as well. When we're talking about learning English, they are learning English as a language. They are learning Hindi as a language. They are learning their mother language as a language. So here the children, they should be able to identify any of the object in all the different languages. For that, what we can do is we have to partner first of all with the parents. We should be able to identify, we should be able to note, we should be able to talk to the parents regarding about their culture, about their background, about the language that it is being spoken at their home, so that we will be able to connect in a better manner with our children. So here I was talking about some of the strategies that we can adopt and adapt to at our school. It is maybe right from early age, the children, they talk about alphabet matching. First of all, they should recognize the various alphabet, the letters of the alphabet, small letters, capital letters, then joining these letters. Then as Geeta ma'am has rightly said, different kinds of activities to be conducted to recognize the sight words. That is really very, very important. Why the children, they have to again spend a lot of time in learning these kind of sight words. Wherever, for example, if they see somewhere IS is written, why again they have to talk about the phonics, they have to talk about the sound. It says E, so is, why they have to speak like that? They have to recognize these letters as and when they see, that is the sight words. So we have to plan our strategies accordingly. Alas, in most of the schools, it's not happening. Reason, the teachers, they are not properly trained. They do not know how to teach. Still, they have been teaching the children in that old traditional manner, maybe the manner in which I have studied. Maybe I was also learning CAT, cat. I have not learned k, then at, cat. Just would show you something when I'll stop sharing my screen for a while, and then I'll just put it back again. For example, I am just having this in my hand, suppose these kind of TLMs, teaching learning material, when we talk about. So here, when the children, they will be writing, or the teachers or the parents, they would be helping the children. They would be writing the different letters of the alphabet, and then they will be having these kind of word. They'll quickly recognize this is at, and then it becomes cup, cat, bat, fat. So these are the small things I'm talking about. These are the initial steps, foundational literacy. When we are talking about children, they should be able to, first of all, they should be able to write their name. We have to engage them in such kind of activities. These kinds of letters, they should be able to arrange. And such kind of engagement, when we will be having in our class, for example, this is a name train that is being done by pre-primary, preschool children, and they know these are the letters of the alphabet, and they are arranging them to identify their name. Let them spell their name, first of all. And likewise, when we are talking about numeracy skills, here are certain kinds of activities that you can plan. Like they should be knowing about ones and tens. Let them bring it to that level. Abacus is there. If it's not like that, every time you have to go to the market and fetch the things and procure and spend a lot of money. With whatever things they are available at our home, we can easily make these kind of TLMs, teaching learning material. Here, very sorry to say, when our children, they talk about any number, 24, 45, 36, they are not able to recognize, they are not able to tell the difference between the value of, if the number is 35, they consider 3 and 5 equal. They are having equal values. They are not able to understand, like 5 is at the ones place and 3 is not actually 3, it's 3, 0, 30, it's 3 tens. So we have to teach them in that manner. This is the gap. When Nipun, Bharat, we're talking about foundational literacy and numeracy, obviously there is a learning gap when we always talk about. Have we ever talked about teaching gap? Yes, there is a teaching gap as well. We sometimes do not realize what we have to teach. We need to identify the needs of our children. That all are very well highlighted in this Nipun Bharat. Very well. The Nipun project, it is very well explained what we have to do. We have to identify learning gaps. We have to identify teaching gaps. Then only we can move ahead. So going again, continuing with my presentation. So here we are talking about assessment for learning, school-based assessment. I have already talked about. When the children, they will be making these kinds of TLMs as guided by the teachers, as done in the presence of the parents at their home. This would be facilitating the learning progress. And Nipun also talks about, let us facilitate the learning in a manner like teaching learning process. It should not stop within the 4 walls of the classroom, or just end in a Zoom room or a Google room or a Microsoft Teams. It should not end over there. We should be able to connect their learning with the real life, so that as and when they go out in the community, in the circle, in the park, in the society, at their room, they should be able to identify those kinds of objects, those kinds of things over there, and they will be able to relate their classroom learning with the real life. That is what is being expected from us, the teaching community, like what we have to teach our children, right? And here comes the large scale standardized assessment. When we talk about this, to come to this level, we need to learn collaboration instead of competition. Most of the time, we always talk about inter-school competition, reading competition, inter-school dance competition, inter-school that competition. Nobody talks about collaboration. So when we talk about competition, our focus is just to grab the prizes, win the prizes, and get certificates. And yes, our school is the best. We have to come up. We have to raise our level. Let us talk about collaboration. Whatever everybody is doing, each and every school head, when we talk about, they're the pedagogical leaders, let us all join our hands. Let us all make a bridge so that our children can walk on very easily. Can we support them? For that, let us come up with some collaborative projects. CBSE has given us Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. Let us collaborate, learn about various art integrated projects, various art forms, cultures of art. When we talk about India, unity in diversity, do we know about what is being happening in the other states of our country? So this is how we need to collaborate with other schools. Let us have partner schools where we can have collaborative learning practices. So what we are observing pandemic, we are facing it. We can have some online sessions. And now with God's grace, we are looking forward to reopening of our school for the junior ones also in phases, though we are opening. Maybe on alternate days coming to the school. Maybe they are coming to the school twice a week. Can we have some collaborative sessions, maybe online, where each child is sharing about his or her own experience, whatever they have learned? Such kind of standardized assessments where we talk about assessment for learning. Assessment for learning to enhance the learning of the students. And here, I know you all must have heard a lot about this example in all your sessions that you have attended in pandemic. And if not, I really would like to quote the same once again for all of you. At home, when you cook something, your favorite dish, maybe best dish for the guest, before serving that dish to your guest, if you taste it once and you check, yes, there is something missing. Maybe salt is less, maybe it is more spicy, maybe you have to add more curry to it, whatever you find it out. That is called assessment for learning. Means you can change it, you can modulate it, you can add, or whatever you want to do is modify it so that you can present the best to your guest. But if you serve the same to your guest without checking it, and then you get the feedback from your guest, like this is not up to the mark, that becomes assessment of learning. When we talk about, yes, we have been given grades or marks. So this is assessment for learning. Let us first check the levels of our students. Where are they standing? And accordingly, we have to make changes into our teaching strategies. This is what is being expected out of us. And let us all join our hands to do this for our little ones so that their foundation will be rock strong. And they should be able to fly high in the sky and grab their dreams. And let me go to the next slide. Here comes holistic progress cards to assess children's growth and development. Holistic progress card is possible when we are really focusing on holistic assessment of our children. What we are focusing? UTs, periodic tests, whatever we say. And in that, we talk about pen and paper test. We give such kind of worksheets, assignments to our students, and they are involved in such kind of activities. We give them marks. English, 20 out of 20, Hindi 14 out of 20, maths, we just limit them in grades and numbers. We need to talk about holistic progress card, in which we should be talking about their reading skills. LSRW, all the skill, but again, it is not limited to only LSRW. Suppose we are talking about reading. Okay, we are talking about reading. Let us elaborate reading. When a child is reading, can we have different kinds of rubrics, different kinds of parameters for the child's spoken part when the child is reading anything, like whether the child is fluent, wherever the child is having any kind of difficulties? Is the child repeating some of the words time and again? Is the child reading and correcting himself or herself to come to that kind of level? Or maybe is the child omitting some of the words because either the child is not able to relate those words to the real life, or it can be the reason like the child is not able to join the letters of the word to get the proper sounds, because we are not teaching our children in that manner. If we're talking about phonic sounds, how many of our pre-primary, preschool teachers, they know the phonic sounds? It's not everywhere. I'm not talking about only metropolitan cities where we are all having all these children who are all the teachers who are very, very fluent, very well versed with this phonic sounds and all. I'm talking about the schools that are there in the streets, in the corners, in the gullies, mohallas, villages, wherever they are. I mean, we have to talk about those teachers as well. Maybe we just start teaching to our students when we are not clear about the phonic sounds. This is what we are teaching to our children, and their foundation doesn't become strong, and they are not able to read, and there becomes the gap that Geeta ma'am has already highlighted. Like till grade 3 level, when the child is able to read the simple word, at least then he should be able to read and connect the complex words. And then only the progress will begin. Here is when we talk about progressive curriculum, progressive education. At each and every step, allows learning objectives, learning outcomes to be mapped. CBSE has given us a wonderful manual on learning objectives, on learning outcomes. It's so big. Maybe most of us have not gone through that big manual. Can we have our in-school, in-house sessions where we can divide that in groups, like this teacher has to read and facilitate this kind of discussion, like how we can achieve these learning outcomes. Let us have some kind of strategies. And CIR, again, it's a wonderful, CIR is a wonderful platform that he has taken about talking about Nipun Bharat. We will be talking about soon learning objectives, learning outcomes as well. This would be indeed a great initiative where we all will be collaborating to achieve the same. And here, let me just go through the points that have been highlighted. It provides like reporting, unlike a single score, letter grade, as I've told you, it's not ABC grading. It's not A++, B++. It's not about marks. It is going beyond academics and indicates progress in literacy, numeracy, and in other such areas such as psychomotor skills, environmental awareness, personal hygiene. The child is coming to you unkempt, hair not combed, not dressed up properly, nails not trimmed, right? And you are just focusing on your daily task. So, I mean, what becomes the role of the teacher that time? We need to groom them as, you see, complete individuals. For that, we need to guide them that they should be focusing on their holistic part, holistic growth. So like painting, drawing, clay work, toy making, inquiry learning, student portfolios, quizzes, group work, role plays. For each and everything, one full-fledged session can be conducted. Parent, peer, self-assessment can be used to record 360-degree progress. Now, what is holistic 360-degree? Where it's not only the teacher who is just assessing, it is A, B, C, D. It is the child who is also assessing. Like last time I was at this level, now I am at this level. The child is able to visualize his or her growth. Even the parents should be the partners in assessment. They should be able to grade. We have to create such kind of performance, such kind of activities for the homework, but let the parents also assess, teachers also assess. There should be peer assessment too. Then only it will become holistic assessment. Here we are talking about portfolios. Alas, CBSE has already started this initiative, 5 marks to the students in the internal assessment for this portfolio. But this is not being done in most of the schools, most of the teachers. I have met most of them, and they are taking it as just notebooks. If they are complete, work is done, question answers written, give them marks 5 out of 5. Handwriting is neat, not neat, give 4, 3, 2, 1. And what is portfolio? They do not know about what is a portfolio, where the student shows his or her work. That is my work. The child is able to recognize, this is my best work. This is the work where I have been given feedback from my teacher and I have to improve it. Yes, I was at this level in the beginning of the session. In the mid of the session, I have come to this level. At the end of the session, when I am going to be promoted in the new class, I am at this level. Beginning of the session, when I entered grade 1, I was able to read these 15 or 20 words. And in the middle of the session, maybe after half yearly, now I'm able to read 50 words. So 30 more words I have added to my vocabulary. At the end of the session, when now I'm being promoted to grade 2, I am able to read 100 words. So what is my scope? What is my next target? Is your child, I mean, are our children able to identify their targets, like what they have to do? This is what we have to do as teachers. So here, next I'm talking about enabling teachers to ensure Nipun Bharat is a success. How we can do? How teachers can help the children acquire foundational literacy and numeracy. By being aware about learning outcomes at grade level, I have already discussed with you. Let us go through the LOs that have been given to us in that manual. By training in multi-level play-based student-centered style of learning, that kind of activities to be conducted in the class, play-way, joyful activities, inquiry-based. Again, we do not understand most of the time play weight is not just, for many of us it is just playing with toys and learning something. It is actually inquiry based learning. Let the children come up with various kinds of questions. Let the children inquire. We as teachers should be ready to accept all kinds of questions. Let us not label these kind of questions as silly questions, not to be asked questions. I mean, you always come up with such kind of questions. This is irrelevant question. Why those questions are irrelevant? Just because we do not know the answers to those questions. Why? We don't have exposure. We need to widen our scope. When we talk about education 4.0, here it becomes, we have to be tech savvy, techno savvy. We have to teach the students in that manner, going a level beyond. Education 5.0, that talks about, like, teachers should not be like parrots. They should not be like reading whatever is being read in the book and speaking in the class, and the children, they are following the same and just learning the same and speaking the same. No, teachers should be the research scholars. Let them research, let them gather some data. Like, we have to give the very best to our students. So this is what is being expected out of us as teachers. Now, by focusing on imparting experiential learning through art, story, poetry, rhymes, games, toys, songs, activities in mother language. Why mother language? Obviously, the children, they are able to connect it with it. And slowly and gradually, we have to start wherever the children, I've already mentioned, there are many children who are speaking, I mean, maybe English language, maybe Hindi language, Punjabi, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, whatever they are speaking at their homes. We first need to gather some data in the form of anecdotal records, where we have to write about the background of our children, where do they belong to, and accordingly we have to facilitate the learning. This is not an easy task. Certainly, teachers have to work day in and day out. This is what our job is, why we have become teachers. It is really not, I mean to say, it's a 6 hours or 7 hours job. It's a 24 into 7 hours job. While speaking, while sitting, while sleeping, also you should think about, how can my children improve? Then only you can be actually a teacher and educator. So here next is by using formative assessment that we have already discussed, number of assessments. Here I have jotted down some of the activities that we are conducting, and some of you must also be conducting. Just going to quickly read alphabet matching, such kind of activities we are doing. Concept mappings, just have a concept in the class. I'll just stop sharing my screen now because I have already gone through this, what I want to say. And here just would like to read a few of the points for you all. Concept mapping, in which let us create a concept and the children, they'll be working in a group and we'll be talking about, yes, how it is related to real life, how these concepts are connected with each other. entry and exit tickets. When the child is stepping out of your class, let the child express maybe on a piece of paper what the child has learned during the class. And you can have an entry ticket also while entering the class. Okay, how much your child remember, what did you teach the last day. So this is how these kind of activities can be done. Group reading activities, read aloud, read-a-thon, dear program, drop everything and read. Don't do anything that time. Let us just read. Story sessions, narrations, dramas, dance, debates. These little children, they have a lot of things to argue, comment, positive comments. So let us involve them in such kinds of activities. Peer tutoring, reciprocal teaching. Most of us do not know anything about reciprocal teaching. See, when I am saying most of us, it doesn't mean that I know and you don't know. Please don't take it that way. Reciprocal teaching is certainly when the teacher would be facilitating and let the children, they come up with the reasons why the same has been written over there by the author. Let the children put themselves into the shoes of the author, in the shoes of the poet. And then visual imageries. Can our children doodle whatever they see in their own small little, doodling with the pencil and whatever they are seeing, let them, that kind of teaching can also be done so that they can enhance their vocabulary. The more would be the vocabulary, the easy would be for the children to communicate. That would be very easy for them. We can have word walls in our classrooms. And if your children, they are not coming to the physical classroom, there are a number of wonderful tools. Padlet is a wonderful tool where you can go ahead with the virtual word walls, virtual display boards, right? And there are another platforms, digital platforms. Reading progress apps are there that can be used and are freely available. Children will be able to check their progress. Another thing is the Khan Academy Kids. Wonderful app. Please do explore. Let your children go through Khan Academy Kids. That is a wonderful tool, enhance vocabulary and reading progress as well. It having sight words, each and everything, age appropriate level. And there is another website, pschool.in. It's simple, pschool.in, freely available website where children, they can have number of activities. And here, before I end my part, lastly, I just would like to share something with you. Here on the screen, you will be able to see, like, it's a Microsoft Edge platform. When you are opening anything on your Microsoft Edge platform, you will be able to access here immersive reader, right? Like, for example, I opened this passage from here, and then I went to immersive reader, and here you will be able to get the read aloud. It will be reading for your students where you cannot be available for your children every time, offline or online. And there are parents who are not able to facilitate whatever you are teaching in school, right? Because maybe they are not literate enough. Maybe they are not having sufficient time. Any kind of constraints can be there. So here is a wonderful tool where they'll be able to read and it will be reading out for them. There would be different text preferences. Little children, they want to increase the text size. Yes, they can increase the text size. Text spacing can be increased. Font can be changed. Page theme background can be changed. They can have different colors of their own choice, right? And then there are grammar tools. If you want your children to go, they have to identify nouns, highlighting nouns. They should be able to know these are the verbs. These are the adjectives, adverbs. So accordingly, you can choose the colors. Not only this, it will highlight syllables also, where they have to stop, level, maturity, with proper intonation, stress, everything they'll be able to learn. Show labels. It will be labeling everywhere, nouns, verbs, whatever you want to do. One by one, you want to highlight. All together, you want to highlight. Syllabus only. So this is how you can use it. And not only this, reading preferences. When we talk about inclusive classrooms, our children, sometimes they're not able to focus on a particular line. While reading first line, sometimes they forget and they go to the line number 2. So, because they're in a habit of putting their finger while reading. So, let's go to the line focus. So, when they'll be reading, that particular line will be highlighted for them. This is like more than one line. As and when they grow, the level increases. You can go from this one line to more number of lines, right? And to a paragraph. And this is having a wonderful picture dictionary too. Children, when they don't know about some of the words, like for example, it's a strong. There is a picture dictionary as well. So they'll be able to read it. Please to help them with that. They should be able to use it, and parents, they can facilitate. This on a browser, they can open it on their mobile phone. Everybody's having a smartphone, and the children, they are attending their classes either from smartphone, from tab, from the laptop, PCs. So this is a freely available tool that will enhance in achieving our target of foundational literacy and numeracy. Here, reading preference, I was talking about another thing. Picture dictionary. Next is translate. You want to translate this into a different language. If the children are there who want to understand the meaning of this in their own language. See, 60 languages are available, 60 languages, including Hindi. Translate entire page, or you want to translate line to line. I want to translate the entire page. See, this has been translated into Hindi language, right? Make sure you use it. And let me go back to that language because I forgot to show you one more thing. Okay, English language. Now I'm clicking on read aloud with reading preference line focus. This, I hope I have shared sound as well. You will be able to get the sound. If not, please do let me know.
Due to the level of maturity and inconsistency in first grade students, research has not been.
I hope it was audible. Now, you can go to voice options. From here, you can increase or decrease the speed at which you are able to get the voice. You can select like Indian accent, UK, United States, I mean, any kind of accent you can select, and in that you will be able to get to listen. Like, for example, let me talk about this. If I'm Indian accent, Microsoft Hira. Let me start again.
Due to the level of maturity and inconsistency in first grade students, research has not been strong for this reading level.
So this was what I just wanted to share with you. I mean, you will be able to facilitate this foundational literacy and numeracy. That's all from my side, Dipali ma'am. Thanks all.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very beautiful session. I am sure all the people present here have really enjoyed both the sessions because Geeta ma'am stressed on what the child needs to learn, how the teacher facilitates, and you stressed upon how the learning competencies can be developed in the child and how they can be assessed. I think assessment is a very important part of a child's learning experience, because until that is done, the teacher does not know how much the child has learned, and therefore the challenge lies with the teacher. And I think, as you mentioned, there are various platforms available for the teacher to learn and train. And you also mentioned that we can continue to have more sessions with you, many of them, to share the best practices, share more on this, because rightfully, I think CIR has done a wonderful job in thinking about enabling teachers to understand the necessity for foundational literacy and numeracy. We have got many accolades for both of you on the chat box. I think many of teachers have thanked both of you very much for the fantabulous session, for the wonderful session. Some of them have even shared that, one of the schools one of the teachers have shared that Manjunath said that they are in the small village, but they are they are in their own school, the teachers are practicing with phonics. So that's accolades to that teacher for trying that kind of thing. And so then we know that it is all about passion. It is all about passion. And I'm sure we are, a CIR is a great platform to create that passion in the teachers. If there are any questions from the audience, I don't see any in the chat box right now. Can we see?
We have some 10 minutes extra, ma'am. So 1 or 2
Okay.
questions we can take.
If there are any questions which people would like to ask, participants would like to ask, can we leave the floor open to them?
So if you can just raise that virtual hand, we will raise.
Getting a lot of accolades for both ma'ams. That was wonderful. And we will continue with these sessions, certainly. Comprehensive presentations. Wonderful.
So once in a month, we can deal it, ma'am. Anyway, we are coming up with that another series next. This is about best practice. So one Saturday is dedicated for that. One Saturday we can dedicate for Nipun. Yeah, Vimala, ma'am. Ma'am, you want to ask some question, Vimala, ma'am?
I think she's raised a hand.
Sister Vimala, sorry. Yeah.
Sister Vimala, yeah.
You can unmute, yeah.
It was both the sessions are very good, sir. It was very informative and very innovative. Working in private schools, understanding children's problem is very easy. But then speaking about the reciprocal teaching, as ma'am said that when we are only teaching, we don't allow the students to ask questions or whatever. It is very much true. We are only busy with our teaching, completing the curriculum portions. So in which are the ways that we encourage the students to participate more?
I think what the sister's asking is how can we encourage reciprocal teaching? Can you share a few examples?
Some examples.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I think in both Meenakshi ma'am and Geeta ma'am can answer this question.
Yeah, certainly. So when ma'am is talking about reciprocal teaching, so here in that reciprocal teaching, it is not the teacher only who is reading a passage or maybe comprehending for the children. Suppose they all are sitting in a group, children, and because there can be, it is a full-fledged strategy, and in which a proper half an hour at least session can be conducted on reciprocal teaching. Suppose teachers, students are sitting and there is one paragraph over there. How to implement, I'll just quickly explain. So each and every child is reading 1 or 2 lines and is able to explain why that line is written and what could be the reason behind writing this very particular line. And then one by one they are talking about the children, they will be discussing what and how of that, and later on they will be able to answer the given question when we're talking about reading passage, reading comprehension. So it is not the teacher who is giving the paragraph and reading, and then the children, they are doing the question answer. It is the child who is doing analysis of reading. So that is reciprocal teaching, where teachers are not teaching, where it is the students who are teaching, right? So this is happening in reciprocal teaching. In the upcoming session, we can take this in detail.
More sessions. Can I share an example? I think maybe sister would be happy to know this example. My sister herself is a teacher, and she was sharing this example with me. When she was teaching the children Alice in Wonderland, she was doing a reading session with the children. So there is a place where all the members together, along with Alice, they are running a race. And there she stops there, and then she asks the children to question, what is a race? Why is it necessary to run a race? Why do people race? So these are the questions that prompt the children to start thinking and then giving answers whatever way they can. As Meenakshi ma'am mentioned, there are no stupid questions. Every question is important, and that is what we should drill into the child from the very beginning, foundational stage. Am I right, Meenakshi ma'am? Have I supported your...
Certainly, ma'am. Very well explained. Yeah.
There's a question from, I don't know, the name is not popping up, but what is the importance of art and craft for child?
See, art and craft is really very important. First of all, the children, they love art and craft. They would like to their psychomotor skills, they are kinesthetic skills, they are being enhanced when they are doing something with their hand. They remember it for a longer period of time. Children, they love the world of colors, right? Art, drawing something, doing with their own hands. And when anything colorful is there, they're able to recognize so many things. You should talk in colors. We always talk about color sessions. Today is a red day, green day, yellow day. First, we make them to identify different colors. And when there is art integration is there, we can achieve that through art integration. And here, certainly, art integration is not only about paper, coloring, and all. Art is music, dance, drama, debate, whatever. I mean, music, there are different art forms. You just let me know when we sing two ones are two, two twos are four. We don't forget it. We sing it in a like that A B C D E F G. I mean that kind of rhyme. We don't forget the letters. So that is art. So this is really very important. Otherwise, it becomes boring. And when we learn something in rhythm and rhyme, we remember it forever for a longer period of time. So art is, very important at each and every level.
I think I'd like to share another example, if I may. This morning, it so happened that we were discussing among our schoolmates in the chat. We have a chat group, and one of them was talking about, that she used to have a lot of difficulty in remembering the Kabir dohas. So the teacher told her, "Why don't you sing them?" And that's what you're corroborating. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
I think we don't have any other questions. I think, Srishan sir, I think we don't have any other questions.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Shall we close now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, first of all, I would like to thank CEIR for organizing this program, and Vijay ma'am particularly for coming up with the idea, because rightfully, I think both Meenakshi ma'am and Geeta ma'am pointed out that while there are so many documents and information available on through CBSE, through the Nipun Bharat programs are also being the documents are also being shared, but we really don't have time to read them. Many of us. And the platform has this CIR has rightly given a platform for teachers to understand why these documents are being propagated. And so this was the first of the sessions that we had, and then we will be continuing with these sessions every month, once in a month, Rishan sir, if I'm not wrong. So, and if there are any ideas from any of you on what you need, that would be very welcome. You can write to CER Group Global as to what are your difficulty levels when you're teaching the primary levels at the foundational and literacy levels, because you understand that, the child, it's not just about reading. It's subsequently later on about comprehending. It is about constructing the knowledge. It is about analysis. We are talking later on about the different skills. The competencies, other skills in higher classes where children should acquire. And it cannot happen without the basic foundation that the child gets. So, Meenakshi ma'am and Geeta ma'am, I think I have reversed the order, but thank you very, very much for being here with us today. And with the examples and that you shared, I think everything has gone down very well with the participants. Thank you once again for being with us. And we hope to see a lot more of you and to learn more from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the wonderful opportunity.
So, ma'am, next Saturday is also, you can announce it.
Yeah, so the next Saturday, there is CR has organized a session, same time, 4:30 on 30th October 2021. And this session will be about best practices of schools. And these best practices are being shared by the recipients of the National Award constituted by MHRD, Government of India. We hope to see all of you, and please do invite a lot more of your teachers, and especially because there's a lot of learning that happens when you understand what are the best practices happening across the country. Thank you so much, and we do hope to see you there again.
Yeah, from our side, this is an ongoing session every day, and Sunday is little special because we extend 15 minutes more. This is a mindfulness session. Today also we had a session with another school, And every morning 15 minutes, Sunday 30 minutes. We extend from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. So please do attend it. As all Meenakshi ma'am and Geeta ma'am suggested, this kind of transformation should happen within. Once we get the transformation, this will definitely radiate to our children and our society. So it is one of the most prestigious, project by CEIR to give you a session on a daily, because this has to be a routine. So every day it should be there. Please do attend. Please note down that at the same link today, what the link you have used, the same link can be used. Please do attend. Sunday 30 minutes, other days only 15 minutes, 7:30 to 7:45. So please go through that. I think Deepali ma'am is a regular
attendee. I am a regular attendee, and one of the best things that I've learned so far on this is discipline. Being disciplined about attending those sessions. That's the first benefit I have acquired, and of course, being mindful of the time, the day. That's something which I'm sure, attend at least one session to start with, and then you will know the virtues of the session.
Correct. Even ma'am, her teachers are also attending. She made her friends to attend. So it's actually spreading because we have to spread the positivity. So let us unite together, and we have a mission in our mind. Whatever little we could do from our side, we are doing it. And along with the knowledge part, this is another part, that transformation, transformation is what we are doing it. So please do attend tomorrow. And yes. So next Saturday, 4:30.
Hope to see all of you there.
Is back there, I guess, and this thing, network issues. It was a wonderful session. My heartiest thing, because my dear participants, we have given them very short notice. In that time itself, they prepared excellent way. My pranams to Geeta ma'am and Meenakshi ma'am to educate us, because nobody, especially myself, I don't know much about Nipun. I have learned a little bit more about that particular this thing. I think many of them had the same experience. Thank you, dear all. Vande Guru.
Vande Guru. Thank you so